We're right in the thick of it this time of the month with the new transit that starts on October 19th today, because we've got a lot of extra definition that is running through the human design chart with these transits, which means that it's a great time for you to pull out your own human design chart and then to be checking what is getting activated in your chart that might have been dormant otherwise, the parts that are white or are open, right? Those parts, if you see they're getting activated by what's happening in the transits, because there's channels that are happening, there's centers that are happening. So in all likelihood, you're going to have a boost of energy this month that you're not accustomed to. So let's dig into the specifics so you can find out what's true for you. So in the transit that starts today, we have the Earth moving into the gate 3, which we're going to talk about in some detail in a moment, and the Sun move into the gate 50, which we're all going to talk about, but just in a minute. But first, I want to just take a note here to say that the channel over here, the 1762, which has been getting lit up for the last week or so, it's going to continue to be lit up for another few days. This is in the logic circuit. It's really helping us to receive the downloads that are coming to us from superconsciousness through that logic circuit that is helping us to prepare for what we are anticipating in a positive way in the future. And what you want to watch out for is not this sense that you have to over prepare, right? Because the 62 can really over prepare. So you don't want to do that. You want to be prepared as much as you need, but not so much that you're spending a whole lot of time, extra energy, extra time doing something that doesn't really matter for what it is that you're wanting to bring into form. So the 17 is helping to anticipate what can come in. It is kind of surveying the possibilities, and then bringing it through, looking at what we need to do to prepare in order for it to come into fruition. So this particular configuration is going to be going on through the 22nd while Mars is still in the 62, and then it's going to shift. Okay. So the Earth in the gate 3, this is really an interesting configuration because Pluto has been in the gate 60 for a long time, I think over a year. So Pluto's in that gate 60. It's both in Capricorn and in Aquarius. So Pluto's been going back and forth in that. So we've had that gate 60 really being lit up. And now the 3 is joining it because the Earth is there. So we've got that whole channel of the 360 being lit up, which is in the knowing circuit. And the 3 is innovation. Okay. And the 60 is known as conservation, but it's really kind of this energy that's sorting through, deciding what is it that we want to keep, of the old order? What do we want to let go of the older? What are we bringing in through that knowing circuit, the new potentials, the new possibilities, the new breakthroughs that come through that knowing circuit? Because the knowing circuit is individual circuitry. And so it's here to be different. It's here to bring change. It doesn't fit in. And it's really where that evolutionary impulse runs through the chart. And so that 60 and 3 is down there in the root, right? Connected to the sacral that is saying, okay, what is it that we really want to bring forward? So the 3 is kind of receiving what the 60 says. Okay, let's go ahead and innovate with us. Now in the I Ching, the 3 is also difficulty at the beginning. And I do have a friend who has this as her sun gate. And she's like, yeah, sometimes it's hard to get things going. But once they get going, they're flowing, right? And that is often the way that innovation is that, you know, when you're innovating, you're going into the unknown. You don't really know how it's all going to turn out. Innovation is taking something that already exists and then you're innovating it. It's not necessarily creating something out of the ethers that doesn't have any antecedent immaterial reality already, but it's about bringing in the new. The knowing circuit is all about bringing in the new. The 60 is kind of like, do we really want this or not? Is this really going to work for what we want to bring forward? And then once it makes that decision, the 3 is going to say, let's go for it. Let's innovate. So while that 3 is being lit up by the earth, you want to ground yourself in this sense of innovation and to be acknowledging and receiving this whole channel and the energy that's coming up from the root, that's coming from the whole knowing circuit, and really be considering, what do I want to carry forward with me into the new world? Because again, Pluto and Capricorn, this has been a theme. I've talked about it in a bunch of transit reports already. The astrologers are talking about it a lot. And so, Pluto in that 29th degree of Capricorn is saying, okay, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. What do we want to bring forward? And so that 3 is saying, yeah, what do we want to bring forward? And so we can ground ourselves in, what do we know? What do you know you want to bring forward? And to ground yourself in that during this particular transit. And I'll just note here that the energy of that 1762 and of the 360 is very different, because this, again, is in the logic circuit. This is individual circuitry, the knowing circuit. And so while both of these are being lit up, you also might feel a little bit of creative tension between those new ideas that are coming in through that knowing circuit and the new ideas that are coming in through the logic circuit, but that are now being brought through this left brain energy that's more analytical and strategic and linear and so on. Whereas the knowing circuit isn't like that at all. So what we want to be able to do is embrace all of this, right? Embrace all of it. And also to be looking at, what are the centers that are being lit up? So here with the 1762, we've got that ajna and the throat lit up. Like for me, both of these are open in my chart. So I've got a lot of extra energy going on up here in my ajna and my throat. Then down at the bottom here, you've got the root lit up and you've got the sacral center lit up. Now I have both of these defined in my chart. I don't have the 360 though. So I might have a different relationship to these different centers because of how they're being lit up by a different channel. So all this to say, pull out your own human design chart and see, is your ajna defined? Is your throat defined? Is it defined by a different channel or the same channel? Because if these are white in your chart, this is when you're going to feel it the most. The same way with that, with the defined root and the defined sacral and the 360 there. It's for people who have these open in their charts that they're going to feel it the most. So check that out for yourself, and do let us know down in the comments what you're noticing. Okay, let's dig into the sun in the gate 50. So the gate 50 is a really beautiful energy. It's known as values in traditional human design, or nurturing. It is on the spleen center. And because it's on the spleen center, as I've been talking all month, the splenic gates are fear gates because they are instinctually oriented, which is a desire to keep us safe, right? And that's going to be particularly strong because this is tribal circuitry and it's in the defense circuit. And the defense circuit is all about family, really. It's about our close-in relationships. And so here, this values or nurturing is about how we know who we are as a people. And we're particularly oriented to the health of the tribe. Now, the shadow or the fear really of the 50 is the fear of letting people down. Because like I said, this is family energy. It's taking care of youngers, taking care of olders, type of energy. And we don't want to let the tribe down. We don't want to let our family down. And that's a beautiful thing, right? Is we want to be there to support each other, but we also don't want to do it to our own detriment. We don't want to do it to the point where we're completely subordinating our own needs, our own aspirations, our own desires, right? Our own impulses, and just making ourselves be there for the family or for the tribe. We want to balance between the needs of the individual and the needs of the tribe, the needs of the family, right? And to be looking at how can we help everybody get what they need, maybe not all at the same time. And it's not necessarily everything that they want, but how do we do that? So the 50 can do that in its balanced expression. It's not necessarily going to go into codependence, but it's one of the things that can happen. But I love this. I have this defined in my chart. I love this energy. I think it's really good for family dynamics when we're in that awakened state. where we can really be leaning into what is it that makes us know who we are, right? As a people, what are the standards of behavior? For example, the one I always use because people relate to it, right? Is use your words, don't hit. This is one of those things that you see parents at any playground saying to children, right? Don't hit each other, use your words. So that's a kind of basic thing that starts in the very beginning, but there's lots of other standards of behavior. And I think that we're in a really dynamic time right now. Again, if we go back to what's going on with what's happening with that 360, right? Where we're going, well, what are we bringing forward and what are we leaving behind? Because there's a lot of standards of behavior, in my view, that are from the old world, like children should be seen and not heard, for example, or women are here to serve men, right? These are standards of behavior and ways that tribes have operated, particularly under patriarchy for a long time, that we might want to be getting rid of, right? And for me, the new values are more nurturing. They're more like, how do we care for each other? How can we operate with compassion? How can we see that people get what they need? Not necessarily get exactly the same thing, because people don't need exactly the same thing. So that's part of the values that I offer to my child, I offer to my community, I offer in my life, because to me, those are standards of behavior that I believe in. So this is an opportunity for you to be really grounding yourself in that sense of innovation, right? With that's the earth and the 3. And it's being fueled by Pluto in that 60 that's really saying, okay, what are you going to bring forward? What are you going to leave behind? And then for you to be looking at what really are my values around my relationships, particularly my close-in relationships. And do they need to be upgraded? Do they need to be elevated? Do they need to have, some things thrown out and some other things brought in that have never been there before? This is an excellent time for you to be doing that kind of reflection and seeing what's really going to support you and your close ones in during this time. I know a lot of you have been saying, I love the transits and I don't really understand them. I don't necessarily understand how it works with my chart that well. I don't necessarily understand how the transits work all that well. So if that sounds like you, or if you just want to know more, I'm creating a masterclass. It's being offered on Tuesday, October 22nd at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And yes, there will be a replay for people who register. And it's called Understanding the Human Design Transits. And so I want to get together with you, share some of the fundamentals that you need to be able to understand the transits and be able to work with them. There is often a lot that's misunderstood with them. So I'm really happy to be providing this for you. And I'll be there to answer your questions, and we can look at your chart if that is meaningful and helpful at that time. So do go ahead and register. You'll register through Zoom and then we'll join you live next week. All right. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.